Hey guys, and welcome to this video lecture. In this video lecture, we are going to get started with the MySQL with MySQL Workbench. So I have logged in to MySQL with test user that we have created earlier, and I'm planning to continue to use this particular user to demonstrate you all the queries. As we have granted almost all the permissions to this particular user, we shouldn't face any problem while executing our queries. In case we face any problem in the flow of execution of the queries, we are going to log into the root user and then we are going to see how that particular query executes with the root privileges. So as of now, this is entirely test user stuff. So let us get started. So now the very basic command is show databases. This command is very self-explanatory and it is going to show us the list of databases available for access to that particular user. So I'm just going to type in the command show databases and I'm going to execute it. So these are all the databases that are there in our database. Okay. So here database and a schema, these are synonyms in MySQL. In Oracle, we have a schema for every user, but in MySQL, it is a bit different. So if any one of you is from Oracle background, then it might be confusing at first that a particular user can have multiple databases or multiple schemas. But that is how it is in MySQL. Now there are a few things that we should be comfortable with. You can hold the control key of your keyboard and then you can rotate the mouse wheel of your mouse, and this is how you can increase or decrease the character font size here in the query window. And this is one of the most convenient ways to increase the font size. All you have to do is to press down the control key and rotate the mouse wheel. So if you rotate your mouse wheel in the forward direction, it is going to increase the font size, and if you rotate it backwards, it is going to decrease the font size. So we have learned two things already. We have learned how to see all the databases, and then we have seen how to increase or decrease the font size. The second thing that we have learned, increasing or decreasing font size, is for our convenience. Okay, so it is not for increasing our programming knowledge. Now we are going to use a particular database from this list of databases. So here you can see a database known as Sakila. So to use any particular database, just say use and name of that particular database. So here I am following the convention. I am going to use uppercase characters for any built-in keyword, and for objects I am going to use lowercase characters. So I am planning to use this convention all the time. So I'm going to run this query. So this is going to use Sakila now. Okay, Sakila is one of the databases that we have seen. Okay, so these are the databases, and after executing use Sakila, we will be able to query the objects in Sakila database. Now we have already executed the query use Sakila. Now I can just go ahead and see the list of tables with the command show tables. And I will execute this. And these are all the tables in the Sakila database. So here we have the list, and I am scrolling up and down the entire list. Now here we have a table known as actor. Now in order to see all the rows from the table actor, we just need to say select star from actor. And if I execute this, it is going to show me all the rows from the table actor. So the table actor has got these many rows. Okay. Now I'm going to show you something which is going to, yeah. So earlier we used lowercase and here we are using uppercase. So still the result will be same because the queries are case insensitive, except whenever we are dealing with the character data. So if I execute this, we still get the same output. So remember this while creating your objects. So the case of the object doesn't matter. Okay. So case of the object name doesn't matter. In case you try to create an object in your database with the name actor, and then again you try to create another object with name uppercase actor, it is going to throw an error by saying that the object already exists. Okay, so remember that. Now if I want to see the table structure, then I can just run the query describe actor, DESCACTOR. So if I execute this, so this is the description of the table actor. So this query is always going to return us the structure of that particular object. So here the object is the table. So this is the structure of that particular table. So here we can see the name of the field, the data type, the nullability, if it is a key table, and the default value in that particular column, and any extra description. If anything is a key value, usually it is auto increment. So whenever you try to insert a new row, and if you don't provide any sort of value for that particular field, it is going to automatically add an increased value. So that is something known as auto increment. And here we have something like default generated on update current timestamp. So whenever we are going to update any row in this, so here last underscore update column is going to be updated automatically. So this is the description of this entire table actor. Now the alternative for this command is describe, DESCRIBE actor. And I'm just going to execute this, and it is also going to return us the same set of rows like the earlier one. So basically this DESC is short form of the command describe. So I want you to remember both the forms of the same command. So in case whenever you are going to deal with any project documentation, and somewhere you will find DESC and in some places you will find describe, so that if you know both the forms, you will not get confused. So these are the 6 commands, or let's say 5 commands that we have learned in this video lecture. Plus we have learned how to increase and decrease the font size using the mouse and the keyboard. So thanks a lot for watching this video lecture. Do let me know if you have any questions, queries or comments about this video lecture, and I will see you next time. Hey guys, good morning and welcome to this video lecture. In this video lecture, we are going to see the selection and projection operations in SQL. So let us get started. So the simple-most selection operation is select star from country. So country is one of the tables that we have in our database, and it is going to select all the rows and all the columns from this table country. So star means all the rows and all the columns. So this is the simplest selection operation. Okay, I guess we haven't executed the earlier statement use Sakila. Now we are going to execute this, and it should actually give us the result. Yes, we have the result here. So it is showing us the list of countries with the country ID and the last update date. So this is the simplest form of select operation where we are selecting all the rows. So basically select operation deals with selecting the rows. Now let us have a look at the project operation. So here we are able to select all the columns. Projection means selecting only a few columns from the table in the database. So it goes something like this. Select country ID, country from country, and it is going to select only two columns from this particular database table. Now we can even change the order of the columns that we are using in this particular query. So this operation is basically known as project operation. In the project operation, we have to select only a few columns, and the order of those columns could be anything. So here the country column is selected first and the country ID column is selected after that. So this is the projection operation. So in the selection operation, we select the rows. In the projection operation, we select the columns. So we are going to see this selection operation in detail in the next section of this course. So in order to have some sort of limit on the kind of rows that we select, using the select operation, we can use the where clause. So where clause is the place where we can specify the condition for the selection. So as of now, we are not using the where clause. That's why it is selecting all the rows from our database table. So this is the very basic and primitive form of select operation in SQL. And as I told you already, project operation means projecting or selecting only a few columns and in any order that we want. So now let's move forward. We are going to have a look at operators and precedence. So I'm going to write a simple query again. So this is select star from film. So if I execute it, it is going to show me the data from the table film. Okay, and all I have to do is select title, comma, 12 multiplied by rental rate plus 200 from film. So if I execute this, it is title and rental rate. Okay. So here we are multiplying rental rate by 12 and then adding 200 into that. Now these are the operators. So this is multiplication operator and this is addition operator. And we know about mathematical precedence of any expression. So basically this is an expression. And according to the BODMAS, this is going to evaluate the multiplication and then it is going to add 200 to that. So I'm just going to copy this query as it is and let us see what happens now. And if I execute this, this is the output. We are using parenthesis here, but it did not change the order because we are using parenthesis around 12 multiplied by rental rate. So anyway, it was evaluating this expression first and then it was adding 200 to that even without the parenthesis. So I'm just going to copy this and I'm going to change the order by adjusting the position of parenthesis. So here I'm going to say rental rate plus 200. So if I execute this, it is going to evaluate this expression first rental rate plus 200, and then it is going to multiply this entire output by 12. So this is how we can use parenthesis to specify the order of the evaluation of the expression. Okay. So this was all about operators and precedence. So in this video lecture, we have seen a couple of things. So the very first thing that we have seen is that if without using this use statement, if we try to execute any query, it is going to throw us an error. And then we saw how the selection operation works and how the projection operation works. Then we also saw the operators and precedence of the operators. And we also saw that this is the simplest form of select statement, and we can even use the where clause, and we are going to have the demonstration of the where clause in the next section of this course. So I want you to go ahead and practice by modifying these queries and then checking the output. So you can just go ahead and modify these queries. A PDF corresponding to all these queries will be there in the downloadable section of this particular lecture. So you can refer that PDF, copy the queries from the PDF and execute them as it is, as well as modify them to see how the output changes when you modify the queries. So thanks a lot for watching this video lecture. Do let me know if you have any questions, queries or comments about this video lecture. Thanks a lot once again, and I will see you next time. Hey guys, good morning. This is Ashwin again, and in this video lecture we are going to see the concept of null and column aliases. So if there is a numeric column in your database, you can assign the value 0 to it, and if there is a character or string column in your database, then you can have an empty string in that particular column for a value. But here in this video lecture we are going to discuss something different altogether, and that thing is known as null. So null is something that means absence of data. So I have already given you examples of 0 in the numeric column and empty string in the string or character columns. So null is neither 0 nor an empty string. It means the absence of the value altogether. So we are going to see that in a moment. So now let's execute this query first. Use Sakila. Now I'm going to say select star from film, and if I execute this, this is going to show us all the records from the film. Okay. So film is a table that has got details of films. Now here you can see in the original language ID, you can find a few null values. So let's go ahead and select only a few columns. So we are going to use the projection operation. So I'm going to say title, comma, description, comma, original language ID. So if I execute this, this is the output, and you can see that original language ID has got null value in that. So this is how a null value means absence of data. So in this MySQL interface, it actually shows the string null with gray background. So it doesn't mean that it has got actually the character string null in that particular column. It has actually got no data, and to represent no data, it is actually showing us null with gray background. So we are going to see in the next few lectures that how to find out the null using the where clause. But as of now, just understand null means the absence of any data at all. So this is different from string null. Okay, so this is a string null. Okay, this means that there is a character data that has got value NULL, but only NULL means absence of data. Okay, so you can even see that MySQL Workbench highlights them in different fashions. Okay, now we are going to see column aliases. Column aliases. So don't worry about noting down the queries, because all these queries are available in the PDF for the download in the downloadable section of this video lecture. So sometimes we need to rename the columns that we are using for the selection operation. Okay, it doesn't mean that we are actually renaming the columns in the database itself. We are just renaming how they are displayed. So let us see how we can do that. So select title as film title. Okay, so suppose I want to show the data that is there in the title column under the heading film title, then I can just say title as film title. Okay, now there is other way of doing that also. So we can just say description as summary. So note that in the earlier column we have used double quotes because this is a string with a space. Okay, so if you actually remove these double quotes, then it might actually throw an error. So here in this particular string there is no empty space, that's why we can just use it as it is. And finally, we can even provide the column alias without using as. So I'm just going to say original language ID, language, okay, and from film. So the alternative names for the columns that we use in the select query, they are known as column aliases. So we know that the dictionary meaning of alias is alternative name. So here we are not actually changing the names of those columns in the database tables. We are just changing the heading under which their data is displayed. So here we had the column names as title, description, and original language ID. Okay, so basically this query is same as the earlier query. The only difference is that we are showing the data under different headings. So now I'm just going to select entire stuff and execute it. And this is the output. We have here film title, summary, and language. Okay, the data is essentially the same. So the data is same, and even the columns from which we are selecting the data are same. The only difference is that the heading under which all the data in the columns is displayed are different, and that's why we use the column aliases in SQL. So here in this video lecture we saw null and the concept of column aliases. So I want you to go ahead and practice these queries and also modify these queries. As I have told you already, a corresponding PDF containing all these queries can be found in the downloadable section of this video lecture. Do let me know if you have any question, query, or comment about this video lecture. Thanks a lot again for watching this video lecture, and I will see you next time. Hey guys, good morning. This is Ashwin again, and in this video lecture we are going to see the use of distinct keyword. So let us get started. I'm going to use the Sakila database for this, and then I'm going to write a very simple query: select star from film actor, and if I execute this, this is going to show us the actor ID and film ID. Okay, so as you can see that there are lots of repetitions in this actor ID, And if I just try to select the actor ID, then what happens? Okay, select actor ID from film actor. Okay, we get the duplicate records. So here we have 1 and here too we have 1, correct? So I just want to have the list of distinct actor IDs. This means that I just want to have one entry in my output result set for multiple entries of a particular actor ID. Okay, many to 1. So suppose there are 10 entries for actor ID equals to 1, then in my result set it will be only one entry. Similarly, if there is only one entry for the actor ID 2, still in the result set there will be the other entry, and so on. So I can just go ahead and say Control C, Control V, and here I can just say distinct. And if I execute this, this is going to return a list of all the unique actor IDs, okay, or all the distinct actor IDs. So for multiple entries of the same actor ID, you will have only one entry in this particular result set. So that's how we can use distinct. So now this is the use of distinct on a single column, and it can actually even have the null entries. Okay, if there is any null data, then distinct will actually show you the null data in your result set. Now similarly, we can even have the distinct for multiple columns. Film ID, and if I just go ahead and execute this, so this is the actor ID and this is the film ID. So basically here we can see the repetitions, but the noticeable thing is that the combination of the actor ID and film ID will always be unique, or it will always be distinct. So when you use distinct on a single column, it gives you the list of distinct values or the list of unique values in that particular column. And whenever you use distinct on a combination of columns, it is going to return you the distinct combination of values in both the columns. And also, if there are null values in any one of the columns involved in the distinct clause, then those null values will also be treated as distinct values and those will be shown here. So this is how we can use the distinct keyword to see the unique values in a data set. So I hope that you understood the concept of distinct and unique. So you can just go ahead and try this distinct keyword with the columns of any other database table in the Sakila database. So there are lots of tables in Sakila database. So you can just go ahead and use this distinct with any one of the columns or any one of the combination of columns in the tables in the Sakila database. So thanks a lot for watching this video lecture. Do let me know if you have any questions, queries or comments about distinct keyword or any other concept that we have seen earlier. And I will see you next time.